Content warning. The following program contains a host that chain smokes like a train in Victorian England going through a tunnel, discussions of fictitious violence, discussions of bad behavior, other things that might make people feel attacked, possibly some accidental potty mouth language. Viewer discretion is advised. No, you're getting better at that. Yeah. The weird thing is that, of course you're sleep deprived. Dude, yeah. Start the music. Hey everybody, how's it going out there? This is Silver Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And welcome, my friends, to the dark side of the room, where we talk about games and other really fun stuff that's actually kind of silly when everything comes down to it. But this is also about life. No, Lisa, do you know anything about life? Do you know anything about games? What do you know? You're tearing me apart, Lisa. That's right. We are talking about a whole lot of things. And yesterday, if you were here to join me, we were talking about giving game demos and teaching games. And we left off at the place where we deal with bad faith actors. Ooh. That's right. But guess what? I am not here alone. Oh no. I was here alone yesterday, and that was kind of weird and unusual, but not really because I did this show for years by myself. Because I don't need nobody. But you know what? I got somebody, and that makes life a whole lot easier and a whole lot fun for you guys because, well, it's not like I'm sitting up here talking into the void senselessly and needlessly. So, without further ado, I'm here to introduce my good friend who's a great entertainer, great humanitarian, a nerd girl extraordinaire, and my dear friend for years. You guys know her as Mellow Cello. I know her as Heather Johnson. How you doing, girl?
Hey everybody, how's it going? And I'm jazzed. I'm super jazzed because I took some beef fuel. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I bet you are. Sponsor us. Now, okay, so you're all hyped up on that vitamin B, which is cool because I am hyped up on caffeine and I'm getting even more caffeine even as we speak because unfortunately, for those of you guys that were watching yesterday, I was pretty much streaming for 7 hours. And in that second part of the streaming, what did I do? What? Something might fly into your mouth like that. You're like, huh?
No, I was shocked and surprised to hear you say 7 hours. The hobby hall was long for me just because I'm not used to doing a stream that long. But you streamed for almost 7 hours yesterday. Really?
Well, yeah. See, I was in the D&D game, The Legacy of Ariad, and that was pretty much going from
Okay, I
5
see, I
to
see.
10. you know. So yeah, that was me trying to be entertaining and all that jazz because Thursdays are a long day. Long day. But you want to know more about them long days? Well, you know what? You can always send me an email. All you got to do is pull up your email and go to backinthedeck@gmail.com. It's BACKINTA at gmail.com. You can also hit me up on the Instagrams and on the Twitter under the same name, Back in the Deck. That's BACKINTHEA.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you aware that the content warning page is showing?
The what?
The
Oh, that
content
one?
warning. Yeah.
Yeah, see, oh, yeah, you always got to do that, huh? Sitting up. You know, your content warning is showing and all that other stuff. Yeah, it's not like you're showing the email that says back in the deck at gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. Or hit me up on Instagram and all that other stuff. You can also hit me up if you are on Facebook by joining the group Deckers on the Book. Yeah, that is our open source Facebook page and all that stuff. And yeah, that is some really cool stuff that you can well, you know, come on down, show us your stuff, show us what you got, what you got, boy. That's what I'm asking, what you got. So yeah, all that stuff. And Heather, where can they find you?
Um, well, if you have been catching the show at least once or twice a week, if not more, you know that I'm also on another show called Gaming Fix. And that show talks about all things related to gaming, even video games, which is something we don't cover here on Back in the Deck or the Dark Side of the Room. Not because we hate video games or anything like that. It's just, they're a little pricey. So yeah, we talk about mobile games, which is something I cover usually because I'm totally into mobile games, as well as Frank, my co-host, or I'm his co-host. I'm sorry about that. But you can find us at twitch.tv/GAMINGFIXXLIVE. That's Gaming Fix Live. And we're on at 11 a.m. on Wednesdays from 11 till usually about 12 Pacific Standard Time, as well as 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to shoot me an email, feel free. My email is mellowcello007 at gmail.com. That's MELLOCELLO at gmail.com. So yeah, that's pretty much where folks can find me. And if you want to look me up on Instagram, just type in mellowcello007 and you'll find me.
Awesome. This is really, really cool. So, oh God, I'm doing all the wrong ones. Okay. So if you guys are wondering why I'm a little punch drunk, so as I was streaming for 7 hours yesterday, as you guys know, my main thing is coffee. And yeah, so with that being said though, since my main thing is coffee, I ended up drinking coffee really, 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 really late last night. So that being the case, yeah, I was up until like dawn this morning. Hey, Call of Fortnite, it's good to have you back here and all that, Jeff. So let's see here. Oh wait, let me up going live now. Live from New York. Well, no, it's not New York. Yeah, there we go. And all right, cool. So yeah, so I'm setting out the announcements and all that stuff that we're live right now because I'm trying to do the other thing, like say, hey, we're live right now. I lost you, but you'll be coming back in a minute. That's okay. Yeah, for some reason it looks like we lost Heather. She vanished. She went away into the void, but that's okay. She'll be back any minute. Any minute she'll be back with all that. So yeah, as I was saying, let's get down to today's topic while we wait for Heather to come back. Because yeah, that is the thing. I'm like, yeah, she was here, she's doing all that stuff. I mentioned that I was drinking coffee, and then boom, she gone. I'm like, well, you could have just quit. That's all I'm saying. You could have just, well, oh, okay, got booted. Well, hit the thing again, and that should be good with hitting the thing again. So yeah, you're coming back right now, and that's all cool. See, that is why bringing up chat and various devices is always great. So we're doing all that jazz, and now we are here, and soon you will not be here. Um, so yeah. So as I was saying, yesterday, I ended up drinking coffee until like 11 at night, and I tend to forget that I am over 40. And when I was a kid, we I was always told, no, you can't. You have coffee when you grow. You don't want no coffee. That's a grown up's drink. Blah blah blah. And then when I was 13, coffee became my number one drink. That was what I was drinking all time, just all the time, coffee. And the thing was, I used to
And
be
we
able to,
see it hasn't
yeah,
stunted your growth. And
huh?
we see it hasn't stunted your growth in any way, shape, or form.
Actually, it may have. I may be 6'4", but my dad was about 6'4", 6'5", and his brother Obertus was 7'3". So
Holy crap.
yeah, and my
That's a big
mom was
fish.
5'10". So, you know,
Whoa.
I was supposed to be a big boy. Big boy. That was me growing up. I was supposed to be a big boy. Having a weird thing happening here with your hmm, that? Nope, not that one. Oh, I know what's happening there. Okay, sorry. I was having a little bit of a thing going on with that because your words are showing up a little weird. So let me just fix that. Boom, that's fixed. Okay. Yep, being an octopus. See, yeah, I know Neon Arlecchino. See, I was already on it. I was already on it. So yes, I could have been a lot taller. But you know what? This is just tall enough because it's actually funny. Like, I'm not just tall, but my height is distributed by limbs. You know how a lot of people have long bodies and short limbs and stuff like that? Um, I am average body and long limbs. I got long arms, long legs. And so yeah, when it comes down to that, I'm like, maybe I could have been bigger. You know, I was thinking about that, but I'm just tall enough to reach high things, just annoyed enough when people ask if I play basketball. So, which I suck at, letting you know, I suck at basketball. But you're not
You're
exactly
not
short
the only
either.
one.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not exactly short either. You know.
I'm not short, but I don't. I suck at basketball too. I couldn't dribble to help save my life. I always got caught traveling, and that really annoyed me a lot. And so did bouncing the ball off of the rim of the hoop and getting bricks. I really didn't like that. So I didn't play basketball much in school.
Yeah. Ooh, that is an interesting question, Neon Kino. Let me do some research on that, and I will let that get back to you. There is, yeah, he's asking the question: is there a tabletop miniatures, or a basketball-oriented tabletop miniatures game? I'm like, that is a good. I have never thought to ask that question. I really haven't. That
No,
what? Yeah.
no, I know there's a football based one called Blood Bowl,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I haven't seen an actual one based on basketball, and but of course I haven't seen a lot of games either. So that doesn't mean it isn't out there.
I never even thought to ask that question. I never did. Never did. But that is a good question. At the moment, right now, I am sending out texts to say, hey, we're live and all that stuff. Guild Ball. Yeah, there's Guild Ball too. Yeah, Guild Ball is pretty awesome. I think that's the one from Mantic Games, right? I'm pretty sure that was the Mantic Games one. Um, so yesterday, Heather, I did a show, and that show was again what to teach when you're teaching demos, what parts of the game to teach, what parts of games to out, and how to drip feed knowledge, not just to keep them wanting more, but as to not overwhelm them with game mechanics. Because the number one way, um, there is actually a really big and interesting way to make sure that people don't learn something, and that is to give them all the information and pressure them to remember it all in one go. That is, hey, what's going on? Legitimine, what's up? What's up? What's going on, Legitimine? Thank you so much for following us here and now and all of that jazz. Let's see, who else didn't I send? Oh yeah, yeah, no, no. Let's see if the Sofa King is here. Um, ooh boy, we got like quite a few. The Sofa King is here, and you're about to get an instant message. So yeah, there is all that, and so yeah, so I left off yesterday because I had to keep the time tight since I was doing the area um on um teaching the games and all that stuff, but I left off on what do you do when people are trying to learn these bad faith. You know, when you're trying to teach somebody and they're not really trying to learn. And you asked a really interesting question when I told you what today's show was going to be about, and I would like you to ask that again so they can hear you in the back.
Oh yeah, I asked, is this something that they do by, mistake or by default, or is this something that they do on purpose?
Yeah, and that is a very good question. And something that comes up a lot more than you might think. Um, Let me set the scene. You're at a store. You are at a store and you want to play more, but there are people that don't know how to play, but they're with you every day. So you look at them and say, do you want to learn? To learn, to earn, to fill out my yearn as all of these things that we do, I want to give to you. And no, I am so tired. I'm doing slam poetry. No, really.
Yeah,
So
I'm like, when did we get to the slam poetry contest? And why did you let me know? I would have wrote something, man.
if I'd known that we were gonna go into slam poetry, I would have wrote something. But seriously. Oh man, yes, it is lonely. It's very hard. This poem sucks. No, so yeah, you're at a game store and a couple of your friends want to come in and they're actually willing to learn how to play, right? All right, now if
Hmm.
you from my neck of the woods, or you got family like Heather and I got, and this ain't just a skin color thing, all right? I'm letting y'all know. If y'all all got family members like this, so you get like one or two people around, one of your boys, one of your not quite boys, or three of your boys, and one of your boys' other boys that ain't exactly one of your boys, but they one of their boys, so they there. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about. And you get two or three people that are interested and they're playing, right? But then there's that one that just keeps asking all these questions or tries to distract from the thing. It could be a friend of a friend, it could be a family member that just wants to play Uno, or it could be someone's significant other. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've seen this once or twice. Why, right, Heather?
Oh yeah, I have.
Oh, yeah, I'm real talk. It's out there. All these people are out there. So, what do you do when involved in a gaming saboteur? When you're teaching.
Hmm.
Okay. That's the question. Now, in my experience, and my experience is anecdotal, right, guys? My experience is anecdotal, but I see this happening from two major people, within social circles. That is a significant other or, the sibling that don't want to be there. It's one or two of those things. All right. The other play.
So how do you keep your composure and tell them, not tell them, here's these dice, go play in traffic.
Yeah, well, you know what? Keeping the composure is most important, right? Now I have this strange thing, right? Very strange. I'm a very good teacher. I'm a very, very, very good teacher. But sometimes people don't want to learn, and even beyond that, I'm not a very good leader. So a lot of folks like want to talk over me. They want to command the situation and stuff like that. And then when I do stuff like the hand on the table, then people get all upset. So I can't quite do that because there ain't many gaming stores in areas that are densely populated with people that look like me. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. I sure do.
Yeah. So how do you hurt the people without looking like the shrew, or the ABM. That is what today's thing. All right. Now the
Ruth,
number one thing,
can you
yeah,
define? Can you define what ADM is?
angry black man.
Gotcha.
You know, um, because that comes with a lot of consequences. A lot of consequences. Mm. So, how do you get people that ain't interested, but want to be around interested? You know, is it a matter of putting your will against theirs and making sure that they lose? Nah, not unless they push it there. There are a few techniques that are good, which is one. Um, this is a big one. Um, don't press for them to interact. Right? Um, Teaching someone in bad faith one on one is a lot like fighting. And there's a big difference when you're fighting half a dozen people. And you only have to be aware about one. Not that I'm going to sleep and dreaming of large women, but trying to teach one person how to play a game is a lot different, or one person that really isn't interested is a lot different and in a lot of ways easier than teaching a group of people where one or two of those people aren't interested in learning. Rule of inverse ninjas. It's so true. It's so true. Um, and so yeah. So the first thing, let's talk about the group setting. Okay, there is that one person that doesn't seem like they want to do that thing. Now, this is where the good faith, bad faith thing comes in, because if the person wasn't interested and they were interacting in good faith, they would say, I'm not really interested in doing this. Can we do something else? But see, I live in Southern California. And you know what's interesting down here, Heather?
The fact that people don't really say what they mean.
They say what they mean, except when it's negative or it might rock the boat.
Right. Because telling the truth is rude.
Yeah, down here in
Mm.
Southern California, it's really bad to look like a jerk, but it's perfectly fine to act like. It's such a paradox. Such a paradox. I don't know what error shall I do. Um so one of the things I do is I ask, okay, what about what we're doing is uninteresting to you? And what would be interesting for you to do? Like what are your ideas? Okay. And a good amount of the time you'll hear phrases like, I don't know, something normal, something regular. In my neck of the woods, um, when I'm trying to teach miniatures games or role playing games and stuff like that, there is an interesting phenomenon that I find. Which is why I talk a lot about Southern California, because this ain't a black or white thing. The origin of this is American, specifically late 20th, early 21st century America, in the sense of people are really afraid of looking like an other. Okay. Um, and when I say an other, I mean looking like they're unintelligent, looking like they don't understand, looking like they're bad at something. And whenever we're learning something new, we are not going to be an expert, which puts us right into that place of awkward. In the neighborhood I grew up in, if you if you answer something wrong, and this is actually a consequence of the dark history of the United States, that people that look like me have internalized. If you get something wrong, you're not mistaken. You're stupid. Okay. And this comes with a lot of weight. Comes with a lot of weight. Um, it's either you're stupid or you're lying. You're never misinformed. You never miscalculate. So incorrectness comes with a negative social consequence, and at when and where I grew up, it came with corporal consequence. You know, 5 across the eyes or go pick a switch. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And that led to a lot of other things. Hey, there was a content warning. I let y'all know there's going to be some
Mm.
uncomfortable stuff. Um, so yeah, that is a real thing. Okay, so a lot of the times when there's somebody in a group that that is unwilling to learn something new, it comes from social toxicity that they tend to be trying to defend themselves from. Okay? They're afraid of looking stupid. They're afraid of being interpreted as lesser. In a nutshell, they're afraid of being othered. And this is the thing behind the thing behind the thing. This is what we get at it. You get where I'm coming from on this, Heather?
Yeah, I do. And it's funny that you're talking about othering. That was a subject that I recently studied on about, not othering others or making people feel othered in the workplace. So it doesn't just apply at the workplace, it applies in all aspects of life, even gaming.
Yeah. So, oh, it's almost like this show has a theme. Hmm.
Wow. Ooh.
Anyway, um, so when they're in a group, um, and let's say you're trying to teach your friends how to play D&D, and there's always just that one dude that wants to play Monopoly or Uno. Why? That is the
Because
number
that's what
one
they
thing.
know.
Ex-
It's familiar to them.
exactly. Okay, we're talking about comfort zones and getting someone to leave, um, to leave to leave their comfort zone is it's a sticky wicket, as the British would say. Oh yes, that's a sticky wicket. Yes, it's a sticker wicket to try and get someone to leave their comfort zone. Okay, so we talk a lot on this show about cultivating safe spaces. But do that, right? Well, my method when I'm teaching is simple. I think about what the person might be afraid of. We've got Call of Fortnite saying, what if they're afraid to play because they had not been included in games before? Yeah, I mean, again, this all comes down to that fear of being othered. Why are they afraid that they won't be included? Are they afraid to look stupid? Are they afraid to be embarrassed? I'll tell you, I've been acting for 30 or 40 years, and the first thing that goes in actors training that no one ever tells you, but they just throw you in it, is the breaking down of your ability to feel shame. you know, like, wow, you're really interested. You're like, really? Yes, your ability to feel shame. Yeah, seriously. Go sit in at any improv class, any acting class, and you'll see the instructor saying, now pretend that you're a rake. What would a rake do? And you're walking around stiff. Give me the leaves, give me the leaves. If you watch like bad movies and stuff like that, you see actors making the stupidest faces in the world, and coming up with characters that sound like this the whole time. And you think, man, aren't they afraid somebody's going to laugh at them? No, because they've taken classes in not being afraid that people will laugh at them, making sure that people will laugh with them. Since I've taken those classes, I'm not afraid to be embarrassed. Okay? Except for when I'm talking to a girl and I might want to take her out and she'll be like, dear God, what is that thing that echoes in my perfect ears? Um, you know, so so the thing I do when I got that one fool at the table that's been like, man, this D&D thing is stupid. Why am I trying to be an orc? Why can't we just play Uno? All right, let me just smoke my blunt and play some Uno. Why can't we just chill, huh? What I do.
Why can't we just chill? We that is the question that comes from every non-gamer's mouth when they have the audacity to think about saying something about what's going on. It's like, what? Don't you see? I'm teaching something here. Learn.
Shout out to Xanathades from the land of beer and cheese. He's like, smoke your blunt and play D&D. Come on. All right. And it's true, you can once you learn. But a lot of times, a lot of folks, I was teaching one page rules to somebody in the neighborhood, and one of their boys came over, and he's like, I'm like, hey man, we're doing all this with these cool toys and all that stuff. Want to learn how to play? And you know what he said to me?
What did he say?
Heather. He looked me dead in the windows to my soul, and he said, big, no, no, he said, and I quote, does this game involve a lot of thinking?
Does this game involve a lot of things? That well, what would you be doing outside of the game? Oh my lordess.
He'd
Yeah,
be
I just
chilling. That's what he'd be doing. He'd be chilling.
chilling.
He'd be
I
chilling.
guess
He'd
there's
be
not a lot of
relaxing.
thought process to that.
All right. And I'm like, it can. He's like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. It's all good. It's all right. It's all right. It's all cool. And I'm like, all right, fine. These people at the table, they want to play. But when that embarrassment comes up, the thing I do is the thing that y'all been watching me do for the past 2 minutes, which is I make a bigger fool out of myself than they're afraid of making out of themselves. Okay. Because I'm an actor and I don't care about being embarrassed in a public setting. All right. And again, being in my neighborhood, it's like, man, that fool is goofy. I'm like, I'll take Goofy. I prefer Daffy because I'm more of a Warner Brothers kid. But Goofy, I'll deal with. Besides, the Goofy movie was the blackest movie ever made. So that's cool. Just don't be calling me Ariel or Rafiki because I'm not your magic Negro. Um,
Mm,
Nor am I a
mm,
redheaded 16-year-old girl that, tries to court a dude that only likes her because she can't talk. And legs. Lots of legs.
oh
Anyway.
my god.
Hmm?
I just realized that movie is putting down women. Oh
No. A fairy tale.
my god.
A Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale that doesn't see women in the best light? The heck you say? No, I call foul. I call scandal. I call scandal. The late 1800s German storyteller does not see women in a positive or progressive light. Oh, next thing you know, you'll be
I,
telling me that writers from the 1950s treat those colored people like they're less than.
I call shenanigans.
I love how you tried to give me that look, but I got it from my mama a whole lot worse. No, yes, scandalizer. But as I said, I go a little bit over the top. And when they see me being goofy at the table, they do that whole man, nah, you can look at this fool now. But it breaks the ice. It's like an opening. It's like an opening comedian at a comedy show. All right, you're really there to see Fluffy, but you get three or four other stand-up comedians to warm you up and get you used to laughing. You know, um, so that's one of the methods that I use. But the second one, when somebody is just dead set on being hard or cool or um
Being the clown.
1980s redneck. Hmm?
Being the clown.
Well, when the clown doesn't
Even.
work, I become the jester. And I don't mean the jester as in, oh, Mr. J. No, I'm not talking about that jester. I'm not talking about that Harley Quinn. I'm talking about the true Harley Quinn, the spy, the person that covertly sneaks things in. And I go, oh yeah, look, you having a drink? Let me just sprinkle some fun in that. Oh, you smoking a blunt? Let me roll the next one for you. Let me sprinkle some fun in that. You know. No, I am not advocating for freaking spiking people or anything with that. I'm talking about um I make the experience fun. Okay? Yeah?
Okay, that's good, Solar, because I was just about to say the police sprinkle fun on us too, and
No,
I
no,
don't
and
find that
everything we
kind of
say is public and submissible. No,
oh god.
um,
Oh god.
you
Ugh,
know.
I gotta go, Solar.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna be on the internet with my God-given face talking about sprinkling stuff and no, no, no. How about just bring a little fun in it? Put a little fun here and there. And what I mean is something that I say on the channel all the time, that fun is contagious. And since people are afraid of being othered, the one thing that really just, it's like a freaking ice pick behind their eyes, like a freaking migraine headache, is when everybody is enjoying themselves but them. Okay. So, oh wow, y'all in the comment section, y'all going off, man. I like that. Let's see. We got Nephis saying, not how true it is, but I read some. Oh, not sure how true it is, but I read that the Little Mermaid was a gay love letter from Hans Christian Andersen to his best friend who got married. It's possible. I wasn't there, didn't know the man. We ain't had coffee. And Xanathades is one of the biggest blowups I had at the gaming table was when my brother was stoned, playing his fire mage named Brisket, and kept hitting other players with his AoE spell. So what you're saying is your brother, although he was not in the most sober of mindset, played his fifth level wizard properly.
Oh god.
I'm sorry, I
Watch
guess
out
I'll
for
yeah?
shrapnel.
What?
I said watch out for shrapnel.
What's going on, man? This thing isn't oh wait, my program is being a little weird. Right. Up, up. There we go. And now the cutting's coming back. Yeah. Yeah, so of course your brother got a little intoxicated and the only thing he could say is I cast fireball. I'm not seeing where that would call. Oh, wait. I get it. I get it. Sorry. Sorry. Like I said, I'm very very tired. Um I didn't get that that was the joke. He said the biggest blow up was that his yeah, I get it now. I get it now. He blew up the gamers. Okay, I get it. Very very sneaky. Very sneaky. So, but what I was saying is that fun is contagious. Okay, I'm gonna tell a story about a friend. Let me call him Brandon. And I was always trying to get him to play Hero Clicks, but he was just dead set against video games. All right. He was just, or not video games, but superheroes. He didn't like comic books, didn't like superheroes. He thought they were childish. He thought they were dumb. And I'm like, well, this game is really fun. And if you're going to help me film battle reports, I'm going to need you to understand how the game is played so that you know when to move the camera and where when I tell you when and how to move the camera. I want to give context and everything, so I'm communicating properly. And he just wasn't for it. Nah, I'll figure out how to do it. This whole thing is stupid. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Um,
Just
so, yeah.
just raining shit on your parade, I see.
Um, no, and language. Um, but yeah. So, what happened was he came over to my apartment all the time because he was my neighbor. So we would hang out. We would smoke cigarettes every once in a while. That was almost expensive and embarrassing. And but he would come over and he was a guitar player. I'm a bass player. We'd jam a little bit. We'd watch some music. But sometimes he would come over, and my girlfriend at the time and I would be playing Hero Clicks, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll be with you right as soon as we are done with this game." Right? Yeah, I know, right? Oh my God, you smoke cigarettes? Yeah, no, it's terrible for you. I never would. Hmm. Um, but he saw how much fun my girlfriend and I were having playing this game, and he saw the terrain, and he saw the figures. He saw the game being played, and he's like, I didn't quite understand what you were trying to get me to do, but actually seeing it, it does look pretty fun. Sure enough, I taught him how to play Hero Clicks. He found a love for the Legion of Superheroes, and he would burn me on that game every time we played. It was glorious. And eventually he taught his nieces, and stuff went pretty cool, and their family had something easier to do, to hang out together, whether it was making terrain and all that other stuff. Hmm. I wonder what my plan was. You know. Um. So when there is somebody who's
So
just stubborn, that's just like, I don't want to do this for whatever reason. The important thing is to try and figure out how they're uncomfortable. Do they not want to think? Are they easily embarrassed? Do they not think they're intelligent enough to to it. Okay. One of the reasons I didn't put an announcement out, because as I said, I've been teaching my sister how to play Grimdark Future from One Page Rules. And she's into the orcs. And once that happens, she's like, boom, running with it, running with it. And a lot of ways, a lot of times, new players, especially when they're adults, they are committed to a way that they think stuff is because it's the way it's always worked so far. And she comes into my room this morning and I asked her about all that stuff. Like, man, yeah, I'm trying to memorize everything. I'm trying to do all this stuff. And I'm like, let me stop you there. Let me put on my mansplain cap and I'm gonna stop you there. I actually hate doing it. But I'm like, if you're trying to memorize all the units, all the weapons, all the upgrades, all of the dice, stop it. Just stop. You're trying to learn this very complex thing the way that you're used to learning. And if you guys are from the disenfranchised set, people of color, women, LGBTQ plus, the fiscally disenfranchised, the neurodivergent, whatever, chances are you were not taught efficient and useful ways of learning. And that's one of the things that we do here. I'm like, no, 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 no. Don't memorize orc boss, orc underboss, orc mega boss, the boys, the commandos, the death copters, the no, 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 forget all that. Just let it go. Let it go. Let all that go. Push it out of your head. Okay? Because you don't have to learn every single unit and every single stat and every single thing. That will come in time. Once I broke it down to the small amount she had to understand, as we talked about yesterday, when you break things down to the core, the principle, and show the principle, principle of how the games or whatever task you're at, I looked at her and I had to put on my Hannibal Lecter hat. And I'm like, no, 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 no. All right, we're looking at your death copters, right? Yeah, these things are helicopters. What does a helicopter do? Well, in the game, no, that is incidental. Re Marcus Aurelius. In each thing, what is it in itself? You grew up in the hood. You know the ghetto bird. What does a helicopter do, Clary? What does it do? Well, it flies. It scouts. Ah, flies and it scouts. Then why are you using it for frontal attack on ground? And she's like, all right, I got you. I'm like, yeah, exactly. You know, and I was explaining to her that yes, learning what the things do helps. Where she's at in learning her third game is she still needs to understand all of the stats that each particular thing has. What's their attack? What's their defense? How do you read the weapons loadout? And how much do they cost? And what special rules do they have? And once she went from memorizing 3 pages of information that's coded to understanding the 4 components of the code, then she ran with it. She's like, all right. So these guys are like 14, 15-year-old high school guys hanging out on the corner and all that stuff. And I'm like, yes, called a tar pit unit. So they're not out there to really, really, really beat anything down. They're just out there to tie up the thing. So like if we had 5 white supremacists that are trying to infiltrate a school in the hood, they are literally all of the kids in the hood that's just like stopping the white supremacists because the white supremacists only have so many bullets. You know what I'm saying? And that's the second thing. I put it in language that she could understand. So I broke down those concepts and I saw the thing that was stopping her from learning, which was she thought she had to learn everything. And most people that interact in bad faith are trying to put the fire of this particular thing out because they're afraid they might get burned for whatever reason. Okay. You'll,
Now,
yeah.
I had an experience similar to your sisters where, and this is what actually kept me from learning, not Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. It wasn't just that though. It was also the fact that I was sleepy and tired, and the person who was teaching me didn't have any grace for that. But the point is I thought I had to learn everything, memorize everything, and it stopped me from really progressing into and being a really good player. But years later, I learned a little bit differently and remember retained some of the information that I had actually had passed down to me from the person previous to someone who was now teaching me, and I learned the game much better. Plus, I wasn't, punch drunk.
That does help. Being one too many hits with a snake can definitely get in the way of your learning. But here's another part, okay? And this is really important. Um, Call of Fortnite asked the question of they haven't been welcomed there before. There are a lot of gatekeepers places. Like trying to learn the rules to basketball by going to a pickup game on Saturday and trying to play. Everybody out there, um, as I said, has this fear of people othering them for not being an expert at something that they've never been taught. This is where the acting comes in, which is, a lot of people try and make fun of me or try and other me or gatekeep me for not knowing stuff that I haven't studied and that they haven't taught me. I mean, it happens all the time. Well, how can you not know this? I'm like, where did you learn it? Did you learn it at the dinner table of your house that was in a neighborhood where the median income was $160,000 a year? Because I didn't grow up there. And how do you not know to not walk down Wilmington Avenue at 2 o'clock in the morning, especially between Century and Imperial? How do you not know that? And they're like, what exactly? We come from two different things and we don't know the same stuff. Shut your mouth and teach me. But I have to point that finger at myself in case my thoughts of how can they not understand. Now sometimes that does come off as condescending. For that I do apologize. But, you know,
Hey, it happens to the best of us. The
yeah,
same person who I was talking about teaching me magic was also the same person who would ask me questions like, "How do you not know this?" And it was like something probably really basic or something that I did was not privy to knowing because I didn't hang out in those types of circles and I wasn't going to start.
exactly. So, you know, so to understand that that fear is there, and that fear tends to be there for very good reason. That reason
Hmm.
is an anecdotal past. All right. So when you're able to put your finger on the reason they don't want to do it, okay, and real talk, you might not be able to figure it out. Okay, you just might not. I have a friend who's intense in gaming, but who hates comic books. He hates comic books. He hates superpowers. I honestly think it's an ego thing, or he's angry at religion and sees comic books as worship of something. I haven't quite cracked why he's upset. But you talk to him about his laser sword wielding space wizards, he's all day. But put that laser wielding space wizard in a cape, and he just ain't interested. I don't know. Maybe he's
And I
related to
thought the
Edna.
Jedi did wear capes, sort of, or
No, they
like
wear
cloaks.
robes. They don't wear capes. Robes.
Mm.
You know. Mm. So I mean, it's a thing, and I've got my reasons for not liking fantasy, but I am willing to get out of my own way to get fun and pleasure because I'm kind of an escapist hedonist. Um, so when you're dealing with somebody that's in bad faith, all right, um, these are reasonable things that you become the clown, become the one that shows that embarrassment isn't on the table by doing things that would normally embarrass people. I'm not saying like take your pants off and run around the room going whoop whoop woo, unless you're here in Southern California because it's very hot today. But I am talking about not worrying about it. I have another friend who I was trying to teach a game, and he was really concerned because he didn't want to lose because he would feel bad. Like, bro, don't worry about losing. Okay, you might lose the first one, but I'm just teaching you. I get this idea that as soon as you know what the rules are, I'm never gonna win a game. I'm never gonna win a game against you again. And the fact of the matter is, I didn't. I really didn't. Yeah, as soon as he gave that a chance, he was having fun. I think it was Marvel Crisis Protocol, where he used his knowledge of comic books and movies and put together teams and worked his teams the way that they normally work in the books, and I got served. Oh my god! I mean, he put me on a platter. I may as well have touched him on the shoulder and say, "May I recommend my liver? They've been feeding me a lot of grain, and I've been very sedimentary." I mean, he served me all the way up. All right. Um, and in the process of that, though, he did learn to have fun. Um, but sometimes, just
Here's a
sometimes,
question though.
yeah.
What equals fun to people? Like to me, my idea of fun, even if I lose, is the banter and um, being able to learn something new if I even if I have played that game before. For other folks, I think it's the aspect of winning. That's a big part of it, as well as, being able to play with people who you can have a conversation with while they're waiting to take their turn. That could be part of it. But for some folks, it's a whole different thing altogether.
It's true, and we've covered the nature of fun, but there is one universal, like one. Oh, and by the way, what's going on, Knights of G? Welcome to the channel, and thank you for saying hey. First time in here, welcome. We're talking about teaching people who learn games in bad faith. So hang on. Um, as I was saying, there is one universal aspect of fun that is all the way across the board. Okay, I don't care where you're from, what you look like, what having fun looks like to you. This is a universal constant, and you know what that is? Laughter that doesn't come at the expense of anyone in the immediate area. Okay, that's what it comes down to. Um, if a bad faith player is watching a few people play stuff, and whoever's teaching the game, be it the GM, the game demonstrator, says, okay, you got this. All you have to do is not roll a one. And they roll a one, everybody at the table's going, oh, like they were written by Spike Lee. All right, those moments. All right, those moments are fun. Those moments that people talk about afterwards. And if you've been a gamer for more than 3 years, and I do mean that little time, more than 3 years, hell, if you've played one new game or one old game to completion, you got a story. Got a story that you look forward to telling to people, not just a story that you look back on in the future, laugh nervously, and change the subject about. Though you will have a lot of those, I will tell you what. But if you complete anything, there will be stories of ups and stories of downs and all that other stuff. So fun tends to be, and I've looked for a lot of universal things because I don't believe that winning is the only criteria for fun. Everybody has their things. This is where we talked about the Timmy, the Johnny, and the Spike. Okay, although that article written in 2013 by Wizards of the Coast does focus on how each of them win, not how each of them plays. Now, here back in the deck, we got a lot of slogans. Okay? One of them is, if your opponent isn't having fun while they're losing, then you are playing wrong. I will repeat that. If the person you're playing against is not having fun while they lose, then you, who are beating them, are playing incorrectly. Because at the end of the day, the underlying thing of all games that you play, video games, board games, tabletop role-playing games, card games, miniatures games, tic-tac-toe, jacks, jump rope, racing, basketball, football, all that other stuff. At the end of the day, the thing that underlines all that is having fun. And if everyone involved is not doing their best to make sure that everyone else involved having fun, then they are playing games incorrectly. Okay? And we've all come across those people, sometimes in the mirror, that forget the fun of these things that we do. Okay. Granted, I do this stuff for a living. And as soon as it's not fun, I have to reassess because real talk, I can go make much more money doing things that are much less fun. Much less fun. I can make $25 an hour digging holes. you know,
Mm,
I mean, real talk,
truth.
I mean, that's there's a whole lot of things that we can do that aren't fun that can sustain us and pay our bills and stuff like that. But if we're playing games, that means we're doing something that we don't have to wake up in the morning and do every day. It's stuff that we want to be doing every day. Now, Call of Fortnite raises one of the big questions, like he does every single time. Couldn't there be another reason they're not having fun? Of course, there could be a plethora of reasons that people aren't having fun. Okay, this is the 21st century. Uh, most people don't enjoy things because of a previous trauma that they haven't recovered from. You know, it could be a childhood trauma, a work trauma, a trauma related to games. I have one friend who is um the daughter of a gamer who grew up forced to play games and does not find playing games fun because she hasn't recovered from those father issues. Okay, but she has fun dancing and sword fighting and stuff like that, so that's just her thing. Okay, and it is possible that playing games may not be for everybody. However, most people who are willing to play a game believes that they're willing to play a game to have fun. People
I like that.
living in competition. All I want is to have my peace of mind. Da-na-na-na-na. That's right. Take a look ahead, dude. Uh, so, no, really. Take a look ahead. Look ahead. Um, yeah, thank you for that one, Neon Arlecchino. You don't have to go to your bridge. You don't have to go under your bridge for another 5 minutes. Now, if you think that's going to get you out for the rest of the episode, I know you too well. Um, so let's see. Do some players not find it fun because it's not hard enough, or because it's not challenging enough? Yes, a lot of players do that. Oh, let's see. I don't play tabletop RPG games much or have much experience. When I go to play, I'm there for fun. Exactly, exactly. To get back to Call of Fortnite's questions, do some players not enjoy things because it's too simple? Yes. I am going to throw a hot take on you guys. Okay, are you ready for this, Heather?
Yes.
Sure.
Positive.
Are you listening?
Not HIV positive, just positive.
Are you listening? Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Are you
I'm
listening?
listening.
Listen good. I, okay, I, although I know my eyes are moving like Jeff Goldblum, I don't, and never really have enjoyed or found joy in the game of chess. I've never enjoyed chess.
You're not the only one. I mean, I find chess interesting, but it's not my go-to for fun. It's not like I break out the rooks and the queen and everybody and like, and hey, who wants to play chess? Come on, everybody, it's chess.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah.
I do definitely get that. But keep in mind, okay, I am a professional gamer, and I have never enjoyed the father of most games. Okay, never really enjoyed it because though it is the father of all games and the progenitor of all tabletop miniatures games, I've always found it too restrictive. Okay. And people look at me going, "What are you talking about? Why are you attacking my beliefs? Because it's impossible to play the same game of chess twice and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, man. It's too small. It's just too small. It's too constrained. It's on a scale that I'm not a big fan of." But when I learned Go, I'm like, this is my jam. This is my jam right here. I'm like, yes, 19 by 19 cross points, so many infinite possibilities, and all I have to do is place some stuff here. It's not like I'm restricted to these guys can only move in this direction, and this can only do this, and this can only do that. It's so confining. All I have to do is say, this guy does a thing there. And when I looked at Go, I saw every single Go piece as an entire chess game in and of itself. And I'm like, okay, this is the scale. So yeah, a lot of people cannot enjoy games because they're not granular enough or not crunchy enough. um, um, and a lot of people get scared away from games because they seem like they're too big. They seem like there's too much to learn and too much to absorb. I will tell you, this is realist to real talk, all right? Really, really real talk. Handing someone a tabletop role playing game or a miniatures game and saying, this is a game to play and it's really fun is horrible salesmanship. Seriously, it is really bad salesmanship. Let me show you why. To the layman, to the regular old person that you'll meet at a bar in any town USA, any province Canada, any region Australia, any province of China, this looks more like a textbook than a game. Here, read this, learn what's in here, and we can play. Yeah. That does not seem
Yeah,
like
no,
fun.
that's a little much for me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm serious. That's exactly it. Um, I grew up in the '80s where we had Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley, Hasbro. So I'm used to board games like Monopoly or Sorry or the Game of Life. Nothing more complicated than Risk. And then someone hands me a little cube of dice and a textbook and says, learn how to play this game. I'm like, what the crap? That was me at 13. Okay. Um, Tabletop miniatures games. Oh man, that tank looks cool. Yeah, man, you should really get into it. And then I save up the money and I buy all that tank because I think that guy's toy look cool. And I find a bunch of pieces on a sprue that I gotta glue together and paint myself to look cool. They're charging me $70 for toys that I have to finish building? That is a terrible ask. I mean seriously, that's what it comes down to. Um
You gotta ease them into it. You can't. It's just like um, how can I say this without getting dirty? It's you gotta ease yourself into that sort of stuff.
yes, it's like becoming
Template.
a concert musician. Yes,
It's
you
like first taste for free. You don't just be like, hey, play this game. You gotta buy all these books. You gotta buy all these miniatures, and don't forget to paint them.
yeah, exactly. You're going to save up your money and spend your hard-earned cash to buy the toys that you have to finish building for a game that you want to play that once you're done, you might be able to find someone to play with in a year. Or
Yeah,
I can
that's a
take
lot.
yeah, it that's a big ask. Or I could
Hmm.
take that same money and go down to the arcade and get fun now. I could take $14 of that $40 I spent on that tank and I can go to the movies now. I can go have fun now. And I don't have to do nearly as much work. Oh, wait. I bought that tank and now I have to buy glue and now I have to buy paint. Well, that's way more expensive. Well, I got to buy brushes too. Now I got to take an art class, an engineering class, a statistical analysis class just so that I can go vroom vroom with a tank. What the crap? That's a big ask.
It is. It really is.
you know,
So I can see where a lot of people's mindset would be when we break it down like that. Solar it's like, okay, yeah, I realize what I'm doing here. I'm turning a world upside down.
yeah. So how do we get past that? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, and I don't like doing the relative cost of things and stuff like that because when people complain online, that's the first thing apologists do. Well, you think 40K is expensive? Well, it ain't like photography. I'm like, fool, photography, I had to work for 100 hours to get my camera. And that was for a career change. So yeah, you're right. It's not as expensive as yachting. All right. But fact of the matter is that not everybody can be on the yachting tip. All right. No, it's not as expensive as collecting Gucci. But, I mean, seriously, I mean, it's that whole thing. However, um, when you itemize what anything takes, you can end up with a list that long as well. Okay. Yeah, when you want to get into a tabletop miniatures games, you got to buy the minis, you got to put them together and paint them, but then you got to learn how to paint. And if you're starting from front, you got to buy paints and brushes and minis and rule books. And then you got to spend the time to learn those rules, and you got to put together your minis, and you got to freaking blah, 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 blah. But in order to make an omelet,
It never ends.
but in order to make an omelet, you got to find a way to the grocery store. You got to get eggs, especially in this economy. Good luck getting eggs. Then you got to find the right kind of liquid. Do you use milk or do you use water? And then you got to get a whisk or a fork. So now you got to wash your fork, and now you got to put everything around. But you also got to use butter if you're going to make a decent omelet like the kind that you see at restaurants. So now, do you have butter, or do you come from a house that only has margarine because you grew up in the hood or at the trailer park? Who knows? All right. But then you got to go find butter. But then after you put on butter, how hot do you put on your skillet? Wait, is your skillet washed? Now you got to wash dishes. And now you got to put all that stuff in. You see what I mean? You can itemize so many things to death, just to get an omelet, you know? So knowing all of this, having internalized all of this, it's up to us to keep this in mind when we're trying to show people how to do this stuff. So what do? You've seen for yourself, Heather, I have dozens of pre-painted armies and lists that are put together. So I can be like, oh, you want to play? Here. Use my stuff. You ain't got to get stuff of your own. If you want to get stuff of your own, I'll help you, and I'll open the door to that part of doing this. But if you just want to sit down and do, I got you. I got those tools. I got that. Got you on. Essentially, taking the bad faith actor and letting them know, dude, I want you here, and I will skip the stuff that you're afraid of to turn this into something that you're more used to, but is still different from what you know. Okay? If somebody, yeah,
I think a lot of folks really appreciated that. Well, the one person who I particularly remember from House of Afros, Capes, and Curls was Lind, and he seemed like he wasn't into it at first, but then as you explained it and you showed him how to use what he was using, I think it took a lot of the pressure off of him, as well as it allowed for him to feel like he could come to the table and have just as much purchasing power as any other player. When you did that, Lind did seem to have some problems as far as like learning the game, but overall he had fun because you actually let him use your stuff like everybody else at the table. So
yeah,
everybody was on equal footing.
yeah. As a matter of fact, that's one of the most important things. And I'm glad you brought Lind up because Lind is a great example of the person who isn't bad faith but isn't completely in. Because the dude showed up tired, but he was showing up tired to support his wife, you know? And once I showed the game that was in his language, using cool stuff, he didn't just have fun, he was talking about starting his own army and teaching this to kids, And I'm like, exactly. That's the whole thing, you know? Let's see. Is all the money spent one thing you think new players worry about too much? I know that it's something they worry about a lot, especially here in the United States at this time in our economy. All right. Real talk. There are very few full-time jobs that will pay the entirety of rent and leave you with any money left to do anything on your own. it's become pretty bad. Okay. I know here in Los Angeles, the average pay, well, the minimum wage in Los Angeles is $15 an hour, which comes down to $30,000 a year. But the rent on a one bedroom apartment in the city of Los Angeles is about um 24 to 30 no 24 to $26,000 a year. That leaves you $10,000 a year to fuel your car, insure your car, medical bills, keep the internet on, feed yourself, wash your clothes. All right, that's less than $1,000 a month for the rest of your necessities after shelter. So yeah, um, is the financial cost a big thing? Oh yes, and I'll let you guys know I am not swimming in it. I have been building up my arsenal for instruction for decades, decades and decades, thanks to a lot of really cool contributors to Back in the Deck. Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you, Neon Arlecchino. Taxes too. Taxes. Don't forget taxes. Yeah, taxes. Cause I'm the tax man. Yeah, I'm the tax man. Um, are there new players who are not having fun because they think they're playing wrong? Yes, and
Yes.
there are, but even more so, there are lots of new players that don't have fun because they're afraid that they might play incorrectly. Okay? I
And
see
those
it.
are the players who I think are what we call perfectionists. They're so gummed up about, playing the right way, learning the rules the right way the first time, the first day. You
Yeah,
can't do that with these kind of games. You got to have some leeway for losses and wins, or just let yourself have fun.
well, in truth, you can't think that way with anything. And yeah, there are lots of people that are those levels of perfectionists that are like, I have to get it. It's what I like to call first time mastery. People that are reaching for first time mastery because of childhood trauma, the culture that they come in, i.e., getting clowned or reprimanded because they didn't do it perfectly after being told once in passing. Um, that can get
I
in
would
their
say
way.
that
Yep.
I would say that last one, getting things right the right way the first time, is a really big one in our community, especially if you grew up in hoods like you did, Solar, or if you grew up in, circumstances that were less,
Hmm.
and because we have less, we feel like we have to conserve what we have, in some respects. So
There is a lot
I
of that.
think, yeah,
Yeah.
there's also a lot of, wastefulness too, because we also don't have as much as we should have.
Well, there's that, but and a lot of the times, and it's not just in our community. I've seen it, and when she talks about our community, ladies and gentlemen, she's talking about the African American community. You know, because it happens a lot in the whole disenfranchised sector, and in this, the entire disenfranchised sector tends to be 99% of the United States of America. Um, Paula Fortnite asked the question that covers the other side. But they want to play it the right way because they're used to playing other games that way. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because in
Yes.
Western culture, I'm pretty sure it's like this in places like the UK, Australia, a lot of English speaking places. Um, um, there is what a really good friend of mine calls the illusion of genius. This is something that we see come out in comic books and storytelling all the time. And let's be real, that's where most of us learn most of our ideas, either from comic books, TV, or movies. And when I say TV, I also mean like animation. Okay? And it's this idea that, let's take Marvel Comics, for example. I am a scientist. Therefore, I know everything about every type of science. You know, it's like, well, you're a doctor. Yeah, I have my doctorate in psychology. I am not a surgeon. That's one of the
Hmm.
things, and that's something that came out in the 80s because I noticed like in the 60s, because I watched a lot of TV growing up, Bones from Star Trek was real quick to tell him what to tell everybody what he couldn't do. you know, like, damn
Yeah,
it, I'm a
Jim, I'm
doctor,
a
not an
doctor.
yeah, I'm a doctor, not an engineer. I'm a doctor, not a nuclear physicist. like I'm a pediatrician. I'm a pediatrician. I'm not a physicist. Um, but when you grow up on things like Fantastic Four, Spider Man, like Spider Man is a freaking photographer, yet he knows engineering, quantum theory. Bruce Banner specializes in gamma radiation. But then you got people like Iron Man that's like, yes, I'm a scientist, so I do everything. And this means that people who grew up on this type of media, slow down your questions, Call of Fortnite. Let me answer the last ones. God. um, um, they get this idea that if they're smart, they won't learn quickly. They will master instantly. Okay. And I'm not a big fan of the United States of America. I have my reasons, although I grew up here, so I think I've earned my criticism. But one of the founding fathers, good old TJ, Thomas Jefferson, actually coined the idea that failure is good. FAIL is fail, but it's also an anagram for first attempt in your name. Okay. There was someone that was in my life for a very long time that could not stand to not master something the first time that they learned, or the first time that they were being taught. My great grandmother used to say, "So busy knowing everything that you can't learn nothing." But they put their character, their identity, in the concept that they are smart. Therefore, anytime that they were challenged in something that wasn't instantly learnable or instantly masterable, they felt as though they were lesser and they lashed out. A lot of people do that. A
Mm.
lot of people do that. A lot of the time, people are taught by very bad teachers. And I don't just mean the ones in school, I'm talking parents, I'm talking bad faith authority figures, I'm talking people that want you to leave that use any sort of loophole to show why you're not welcomed, i.e., gatekeepers. And there's a lot of gatekeepers and a lot of wannabe gatekeepers. Um, where they essentially other you and tell you that you're not good enough or not welcomed or not allowed for the tiniest and sliveriest of reasons. And to them, I say, put those cards back in the deck, okay? But the consequence of that, consequence of a lifetime, could be people that do have these barriers to learning new things. And a lot of those new things that they're afraid to learn are things that can be beneficial, like having fun with other people. Human beings are social animals. You know, um, just to get on a little bit of an internet tip right here, I am tickled almost pink with the idea of the alpha male. You know, not just because the principle of it came from a debunked study, but it comes from a debunked study of wolves. Okay. One of my mentors looked at me and he's like, nah, Solar, you're not an alpha. And I'm like, you're right. I'm a human. And humans are herd animals, not pack animals, you know? And if you don't believe me, when was the last time you saw wolves stampede? you know, seriously,
We
you know,
got a stampede of wolves on the way. We got to get out of here.
yeah. France is having stampedes over the moving of the retirement age for 2 years. America have stampedes all the time. I'll call them riots, but really they're a whole bunch of the same species of creatures frantically moving in one direction at high speeds. Keyword there is frantic. So, you know, oh, stop it, Grey Ghost. So fact of the matter is, we are built to interact with each other. And a lot of people have been taught because of the myth of intelligence, the myth of strength, or should I say, toxic ideas of what strength is, that they
Not to
become
be
bad actors.
confused with toxic, not to be confused with toxic masculinity, or does that fall under that umbrella?
Toxic masculinity is a level of toxic strength or the toxic perception of strength. Okay, but again, be it toxic masculinity or strong independent woman or whoever you're dealing with, um, there's an old African proverb that I tend to pride myself, or not pride myself, but remind myself all the time, which is you may go faster on your own, but we go farther together. That's how humans are built. Interact with each other. We build communities. If we were these solo things and armies of one, there would not be a civilization. And people forget that. People really forget that. But they try to apply these principles in social situations. I don't care if it's at a party. I don't care if it's at a gaming table. I don't care if it's on a project at work. Somebody tries to stand out, you know, and it is a detriment to overall happiness. But understanding why people do this is the way to deal with these bad faith actors. Okay? Never trust a spider that wants you to count for it. Hey, that's my family's patron god, dude. Let's see. Can a person's family be the reason they don't enjoy games because they like them role playing games? I'm gonna say this. I grew up in the 1980s, and in the 1980s, they were afraid of, I don't know, Satan in everything. But thanks, bro. It's good to see you here, Cyber Drake Luca. However, what I will say is that as qualified as I am to talk about this, Heather's qualifications might be something that you guys can get with a little more. So, Heather, is it possible that somebody can not enjoy games because their family taught them not to enjoy games?
Um, yes, very much so. And I come from a family that not only was Christian based, if a lot of people don't know this or don't think it's true, but Jehovah's Witnesses are Christians. Christian basically means the worship or the love of Christ, and they do love Christ. They have a whole memorial ceremony for Jesus. Anyway, back to the point. Um, my religious upbringing made it so that I was not able to enjoy a lot of different things in my own free time, whether it was music, anime, manga, what else? Games like D&D. D&D got the baddest rap of all of the games out there because, you're hunting demons and you're fighting demons. Why would you want to do that? And that just sounds ridiculous. The point is that yeah, it can really it can really damage you in a lot of ways to be brought up that way, where you're in a strict home where you cannot express yourself the way you feel you need to.
So yeah, um, I mean, real talk. I grew up in a home that wasn't Jehovah's Witnesses, but it was half Southern Baptist evangelical and half Voodoo.
Mm.
Um, and the evangelical part went all the way there. We're talking televangelists level all the way there. And I remember the televangelist giving a sermon about how the Smurfs were evil because they were blue and they lived in mushrooms. And the mushrooms symbolized drugs. And this was the 80s, so this was the time of Just Say No. And Smurfs were specifically satanic because they were blue, like how bodies turn blue when they die. So we're watching a bunch of dead people who live on drugs influence our children. And I grew up. Yeah, I'm dead serious. That sermon it scorched itself into my head because I'm like, okay, have
I
fun with
wasn't
that.
allowed to watch I wasn't allowed to watch Smurfs either, but because of different reasons. It was because of the magic that was produced by Gargamel.
Oh, bro, it's not that I didn't
Yeah.
watch the Smurfs. Don't get me wrong, but I remember. I remember. All right. So fun story because my great grandmother's no longer, or my grandmother's no longer with us. But my grandmother went to my mom with concern that I was possessed by demons because she found my role playing books. And shouts out to my mom who was going through it at the time, she's like, "My son is not possessed by demons. He's just weird." And I'm like, "All right, cool. I no maternity test needed." So yeah, you know, so I'm like, "Huh? She does see me. I feel like I got a mommy." And she was like, "Shut up, boy. Go vacuum
Aw.
something." And I'm like, all right, cool." I hate vacuuming. What you say? Nothing. You know. Um, and so yeah, a lot of people's families, I know a few people whose families don't like gaming because I'm not gonna say they peaked in high school, but they come from that beer and football kind of way. So playing D&D was for nerds, and I'll be damned if my son turns out to be one of them dice rolling nerdy boys that wear pointed hats and talk about Lord of the Rings. Well, I want my little boy to be a football playing beer swilling guy that wears a pointed hat and burns crosses. Y'all know what I
Oh
mean.
boy. Oh boy.
you know,
You said burning crosses. It's time to go,
yeah,
everybody.
yeah, it's just when I had to throw that joke in there because I don't know anybody else that wears pointy hats that are as absurd. But yeah, so I mean, real talk, this a lot of people have this stuff, but when a person is at a table, seemingly against their will, or because they're uncomfortable and all that, we can facilitate an environment that lets them have fun, um, within the confines of what we're doing. Okay? Because yeah, a lot of bad faith actors are looking to ruin it. Some people, and this is the downside to this very long show. Some people are only happy when they are in charge. Okay? It is not about what the group of people are doing. It's about um whether or not the group is doing what that one person wants. Gray Ghost and I have talked a little bit, and I told him about the older brother of one of my closest friends who I don't talk to anymore because he only cultivated friendships with people who he could control. Okay? So he didn't enjoy playing role playing games. He enjoyed telling us what to do and being in charge of us. So if we took road trips, he had to drive. He determined the schedule, and we just did what he told us. Because, like a lot of people, he couldn't be part of, he had to be in charge. Okay. And now, personally, I don't have time for people like that in my life now. But tennis is pong larp. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Thank you, Neon. He always Neon Arlecchino is really good at going, "Oh God, Solar's going to that dark place. Quick, absurd thing," which is why I don't put him under his bridge all the time. Um, so yeah, and it's true. Pro wrestling is a soap opera with live stunts, um, which is a little more dramatic than telenovelas. You know, probably because telenovelas don't have access to that much white powder. Oh my God. Ooh yeah. And yeah, that was an impression of a wrestler from my. But so yeah, in a nutshell, guys, there are some people that just won't have fun unless they're in charge. And when it comes to new things, sometimes you're just not going to get through to that person. Okay? And what do you do in that case? Well, you can arrange gaming nights or gaming days and just not invite that person. Going, yeah, you know what? Mike don't enjoy this type of thing. So maybe be safe, man. Be safe. Be careful on the bus. Crazy people on the bus. Um um we're gonna be doing this thing and Mike just ain't into it. Maybe we should leave Mike to do his own thing. Or make it very clear that if Mike tries to take over, either if Mike tries to take over, one of y'all gotta leave. Be it Mike or you. Over the years, I've had to exercise a lot of boundaries with bad faith actors. Okay. And being part of the disenfranchised sector means that I end up spending a lot of time alone because I won't be around certain people. Okay? But I will tell you this: I have a much better time by myself than I do with company that I don't enjoy. And I know a lot of people who can only feel good by making me feel bad. So you know what? That's right. That's right, Neon. Exercise boundaries or exercise losers. you know.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's
Bingo
wow. I
bongo.
think somebody won the comment section today. So yeah, and don't get me wrong. I have been seen at game stores going, "The power of fun compels you. The power of fun compels you." You know. I mean, really, it's just
Oh
one of those things. But yeah, it really is one of those gigs. So to wrap up, because we've been here for about 90 minutes. Um, when you're trying to teach a game or give demonstrate, if someone is working in bad faith, before you exercise them, try and figure out what their issue really is. Okay? Are they afraid to look stupid? Are they afraid to lose? Do they not really want to be there and they're just humoring somebody? And if you can take them aside and talk to them briefly and find out what the real deal is, cool. I find that the best people that start in bad faith, when they feel safe, i.e., when you talk to them without judgment, but for seeking of understanding, they'll actually open up and be cool with that, you know? And they might even give it a try in as good a faith as they can muster. And if you're dealing with people that just don't want to be there, you can let them know they ain't got to be there. They can leave. I see that quite a bit. Um, let's see. What if they're only there because they want to say that they play TTRPGs, but they'd really rather be doing nothing? As long as they're not interrupting the fun of the other people that are there, let them. There is no law that states if you're here, you're playing. Or if you're here, then you're playing and you're having fun. Maybe they're just contented with being around. However, if they start interrupting games, if they start getting the attention of other people or pulling players away from the table, those are the bad faith people that I'm talking about. Because I've seen it. I've seen it so many different times with so many different people. But if a person is just actually just chilling, like I brought up the dude that didn't want to learn how to play a game because it required thinking. And I'm just like, oh, waha. Okay, cool. However, when he decided not to play, he laid on the couch, he watched TV, he left us alone. I would have loved for him to be at the table. But you know what? He doing his thing, we're doing our thing, everybody's cool. And nobody sucked all the oxygen out of the room. So I didn't press, you know? Uh
Not everybody has to be at the gaming table. Is the thing is what that soul is trying to impart to you guys is, just because you have a bunch of people in the room gathered together doesn't mean they have to enjoy the same thing all at once.
it, exactly.
Maybe the guy would have appreciated a one-on-one session versus like a lot of people or one other person around. Who knows? Maybe he would have liked that. I don't really know. But the point is that if there's not any real interruption or any kind of distraction to your game, let it be. Let it be.
Oh man, yeah, there you go, singing again, making everybody look bad. And look at me, I'm Heather. I can sing. I've been on American Idol. Uh,
Well, I don't sing often.
no, but you sing well. Um, so yeah, let's see. That's right, Neon Arquino was like, oh, the person I had was doing that was firmly intending to be disruptive. Yeah, and some people, I don't know what the internet did to people, but trolls are real. However, I carry a collapsible bridge, and I'm like, get underneath there. Just go to your bridge. But I have an unfair advantage because I'm a 6'4", 200-pound black dude that hangs out in white areas. So most people already think I'm going to be violent. Um, I mean, that's just real talk. It's something I got to live with. because I'm really not a violent person, like at all. um, but yeah, but at the end of the day, when you're trying to teach games because people might be interested, do your best to keep it fun. Do your best to be inclusive. And when someone doesn't believe that it's a possibility, you know, um, look at them and assess why. Now, if you ask them a bunch of questions like, hey man, why are you being such a Debbie Downer? Why do you got to be such a jerk? They're probably not going to answer that question. Um, for real, because most people don't want to feel
Be
like they're jerks.
associated, and
Hmm?
yeah, they don't. they
No.
they don't like being seen when they know that they're being a jerk, and it's like, okay, that's why you have to pull them around aside, not publicly blast their business.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't got to put them out on Front Street. You don't got to be like, you don't got to put his stuff out there. But you can always do what you can to include them. And when they start doing what the Celestine prophecy calls exercising control dramas by asking a bunch of questions over and over and over again, my solution, and this is real, okay, is answering the questions over and over again in good spirits, you know? And when they see that their intentional annoyances can't bring you down and that you will keep welcoming them because you see them as a person, it breaks down all that stuff. It literally is strangling them with your kindness and your desire for their happiness. People hate that. Oh my God. And yeah, I am talking about being that kind of troll, or not a troll, more like a fairy. I learned this from Fafo. Um, I mean, seriously, it really is. It's a real thing of like, dude, no, you're welcome here. So, okay, you're asking what dice you got to roll. You got to roll these again. Okay, no, that's your target number. Okay, no, your target number was. No, seriously, what do you think? Okay, yeah, no, that's good, but you're already there. Um, let's see. Do 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 do. And well, Red Hulk. This is kind of that. Red Hulk says, leave your drama at home and don't bring it at the table. I agree with the statement, but the process of that is something that very few people ever teach, you know. And again, you've been here a while. You know I get into stuff. Over here on this channel, we talk about what is, how it got there, how to navigate ways around it, and maybe how to heal from it as well. Because a lot of people can't leave their drama at home, you know. Um, a lot of the times people's trauma follows them. It sticks to them. It's like having a tarantula on the back of your leather jacket. You don't feel it, but it's there. And if you knew it was there, you would leave it at home. You'd be like, "Hey, tarantula, get back in your little cage right there. That's cool. Have a tarantula. Matter of fact, here, I'm just gonna throw some bugs in there for you. Do your thing. Have a banana." But a lot of the times people can't really do that. You know, Speaking from experience, you'll have to tune in next week. But um, a lot of people find themselves at game stores or within these crowds of learning new things, not just games. You know, I worked at game stores and comic book stores a long time. I've seen significant others. I've seen parents. I've seen siblings. I've seen the person with the car keys. Um, that was there because they were doing something for somebody else, but just did not want to be bothered. And just as fun is contagious, that other stuff can be contagious too. So, as the facilitator, as the person that gives the game demos, as the person that's teaching the game, if there is somebody who is acting in bad faith, figuring out why, understanding that why could consist of past traumas, preconceived notions, or just plain control issues. Um, we've gone over things in this episode that'll help you navigate. Anything to add to that, Heather?
Yeah, not all drama is bad, if you understand what I mean by that. You may have something going on in your life that you need to talk to somebody about, or and who knows, you may find those people at the gaming table. So it's not always leave the drama at home, because not everybody can just leave it at home, like Solar said. It follows them, it sticks with them, and it may be evident on someone's face, but maybe you can talk to them about it privately outside of the game, or when there's a break or something. I don't know, or maybe they'll feel comfortable enough to talk about it at the table. And that's like one of the best things about gaming, is when you feel comfortable enough to talk to your gaming circle about anything that's wrong, or anything that is going on at home or whatever. And I've been able to do that at gaming tables too. Talk to them about what's going on at home, or talk to them what's going on at school, or whatever. You can make lifelong friends at a gaming table. You can have someone who would be like a brother to you at a gaming table, or a sister to you at a gaming table. The point is don't just stop playing a game, or stop going to a game. If you have a problem with someone, try to talk it out with them. Even those bad faith actors, they're people too. And there may be some reason why they just don't like it. I don't know, maybe they got hazed in school for liking that kind of thing, or they were taught that that kind of thing is only for eggheads. I don't know, but you
You
know
said eggheads.
us eggheads us eggheads.
you know. But yeah, but you know
But
what?
yeah.
But this is not a bad topic, but we will cover this a little bit more on game. And what I mean this, I mean um that very concept. Because a lot of the times, when gaming tables get put together, what comes down is a clash in paradigm. All right. And paradigmic clashes, i.e., what people think a certain thing is for, can be completely counterintuitive, right? So next week we're going to be getting into stuff like that. Like a lot of people like to socialize at game. Um, I had one friend that didn't give a crap about playing the game. He was just happy for his friends to, you know, and everybody has their own styles and own things. However, part of being mainstream, like a lot of this stuff is becoming, is the fact that there is a diversity of culture and thought pattern. You know, um, you know, hey, you know what, Red Hulk? I'm not saying that people don't love the way you DM, but what I am saying is the way that you DM and the way that you see gaming, not universal, which is part of the beauty, because there is no universal way to play. If there were, these shows would be 5 minutes and I would have a much bigger YouTube presence, because I could say, do this one thing and everything is good. But we are way past the time of silver bullets. um, you know, um, and there are lots of ways and lots of different thought processes and paradigms to deal with stuff. And that is what we'll get into on Monday. However, it's almost 5 o'clock on Friday, and I got a lot of people saying, just got paid. It's Friday night. Send donations. Patreon. You know, that's what I'm saying on that. Speaking of which, if you guys find value in the stuff that we talk about, and in discussions like this, I don't run commercials while I do these podcasts. I have these little buttons that I could do to run commercials and all that stuff, but Twitch runs commercials on top of it for me, or for them, and I could run commercials, but I'm like, you know what? I don't like this whole thing of subscribe to my channel to not get commercials. I don't like that I'm in that ecosystem, but I'm in that ecosystem. However, if you do want to support us, you can give one-time donations at the link that I just put out in the chat. You can also join our Patreon. That really helps. And again, merch. You know, we got T-shirts and notebooks and coffee mugs and all that stuff. You can find that over at T Public, just following the link that I just put there in the chat. And if you guys like what you see, a follow is free, and a subscription and share on YouTube is also free. All of that stuff helps us keep the lights on and keep the internet bill paid. And real talk, all right? Um, I'm back to my Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time schedule, But last month, I had to go be an Easter bunny to make sure that I could pay all the bills for this show. And I was literally dancing around in one of those big furry suits as people threw their children at me. So, if you guys like all that stuff, I appreciate it. If you can't afford it, which a lot of people can't afford stuff, because as I said, I just went over how much it costs just to live here. Then sharing the links, getting more people in here, getting more people to watch the show, that helps out a lot more than you think. All right. Um, every share on YouTube, every subscription, that helps a whole lot. And I appreciate it if you can. Donate what you can, either in finger clicks, um, time and watching the show, or finger clicks and sharing and subscription, time and watching the show, or monetarily if you can. Um, got any questions? Please send an email to backinthedeck at gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can also hit me up at Twitter at backinthedeck, at Instagram at backinthedeck, on TikTok at bidp. And if you were like me and over 40, that means you still have a Facebook account. So join Deckers on the book and check out the stuff that we're doing. Hey Heather, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Gaming Fix Live. That's twitch.tv/Gaming Fix Live. GAMINGFIXXLIV and E sometimes E there. Instagram under mellocello007, or if you want to shoot me an email, feel free. My email is mellocello007 at gmail.com. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or any new ideas you just want to throw out to me, feel free.
Awesome. And thank you so much for being here, especially since I reached out at such short notice. But with
Aw, no
but,
worries.
eh, but with all that, I am Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, along with Mellow Cello, Heather Johnson. And if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, neurodivergency, or your budget, because everybody knows that the trailer park ain't never too far from the hood, you can tell those people to take any of those cards and put them back in the deck. You can like what you like. You ain't hurting no kids or killing nobody. And with that, I'm going to say thank you guys for joining us. This has been a great week on the channel. If you guys are in the Southern California area, come down to the Guild House Games tomorrow around 3 p.m. in Bellflower, California. I will be live along there. I'll be physically there, not broadcasting live, but I'll be physically there along with the folks from Afrocons Capes and Curls. That is tomorrow night. And between now and then, I will see you guys next time. Dark side of the room.